Welcome in, everybody. Josh here from 8-Bit Goonies. Just wanted to jump on and do a 4K review for you today. Now, we're going to do a slightly different format today, and I'm going to stick with this format. I think I like this. I've got an admission to make. I have never seen an Akira Kurosawa film. I know, it's crazy, right? From somebody who loves spaghetti westerns, admittedly, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is in my probably top 5 favorite films of all time. I've never seen a Kurosawa film. I've hear about Kurosawa mentioned in the film circles all the time. I love Tarantino, I love spaghetti westerns, and I know Sergio Leone was heavily influenced by Kurosawa. And I was at the store where I buy my DVDs and my 4Ks, and this was on the shelf. This is the Studio Canal version of Ran in 4K. I literally know so little of this film. I don't even know what it's about. I didn't even read the back other than to read the specs on it and to confirm. It tells you right there it's Studio Canal. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go watch this right now, and then I'm gonna come back for a immediate follow up to let you know what I think. I'm gonna review it in a couple of ways. Obviously, I'm going to review the film itself and what I thought of this. Uh, I've never seen Yojimbo. I like I said, I don't even know what this film is about. So I'm very excited. The other part of the review is obviously going to be the 4K transfer, the video quality, the audio quality, etc. there. So let's give it a go. I'm very excited to get into some Kurosawa. Everybody recommends him. Everybody says you've got to see Yojimbo, you got to see Ran. Like I said, I don't even know what this is about, so this is going to be completely new to me. So let's go. We're going to check it out, and then we'll come back for a review. So I'll see you guys on the other side of my Kurosawa induction. And I'm back. Wow. That was heavy. It was good. Um, I was ready. Let's just jump right in with a star rating. I was ready to give it a 3.5, to be honest with you. As But the ending saved it for me. And we'll get to the I'll do some spoilers here in a minute, but the ending really did save it for me. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. Rand gets 4 stars from me. Again, it's long. I definitely see now. Ran was 1985. I have done some research now that I've watched the film. I've gone in and I've got some notes here I want to go through, and I made some notes during filming of it, and I kind of wanted to just let it sink in for a second there, as I did a little bit of reading about not so much the plot or anything. I got the plot. I followed everything very well. First off, subtitles. Let's talk about subtitles. When I popped it in, it automatically came up with an English dub. I I can't stand. There's nothing more immersion breaking than English dub on a foreign film. I can't stand it. If I can avoid it at all costs, I love to hear the native language being spoken. Um, it, it just adds so much to the world. So, first thing I did, I immediately shut off the English dubbing, put it in there was it's not available in Atmos, that one. So it was Dolby surround sound. It did have Dolby Vision, which the visuals, we'll get to those, are amazing. But yeah, so I put it immediately in Japanese with English subtitles. Yeah, like I cannot stand English dub on a foreign film. So that's me personally. To each their own, but I highly recommend watching it in any foreign film in its native language, not dubbed. Um, so yeah, that was my first notice. Subtitles off, or sorry, yeah, subtitles on. English dubbing off. Had to do that. Um, the film itself, wow. I mean, where do you start? Right? It's an epic war movie mixed with one man's descent into utter madness and delusion, and a feud between a family, but there's also a tale of vengeance that's woven subtly throughout, and that's what saved it for me at the end. So before we go any further, spoilers ahead. I'm going to talk about everything about this movie right now, including what saved it for me, the revenge story that showed up at the end that I, I, I suspected it the whole way. I was like, wait a second, something's going on here. And sure enough, it was like, ah, damn it. Of course, that makes perfect sense. So I took some basic notes here. Basically, the opening scene is an old man. He's the leader of the kingdom. Um, he has his three sons. There's Taro. I'm going to butcher some names here, so I apologize because obviously listening in um, Japanese, it's very hard to pick up their names properly. But we got Taro, Hiro, and Saburo are the three sons. Um, and then we have Hidetora is the father. Hidetora, I thought he died in the opening scene. He's sitting there and he just kind of drops the bowl, and they're kind of the scenery. Okay, the shots are second to none. The cinematography. This was I had to look. I thought this was certainly 70 millimeter. This was actually shot on 35 millimeter. Um, it like it really does feel like they use 70 millimeter, but I guess they did some film tricks with it to make it look that way. But yeah, 1985 again. Um, I didn't realize that that Kurosawa was so prolific from with like 40 years of filmmaking. That was amazing. I've again I don't know that much about the man or his films, so I've done some reading now. Um, Basically, he's at the early stage of the film. He says, "I'm going to relinquish power to my three sons, but there's going to be Taro, my eldest son, is going to be the leader of the main castle, and then in order it'll be Hiro, and then Saburo will be leader of the third castle. So basically, there will be a pecking order. I'll take a small 30-man entourage and live my life in peace, and this will ensure peace." Obviously, that doesn't happen. Each son, well, what happens really is Taro, the oldest son, basically makes his dad kneel before him. Now, there's Lady Kade. Now, Lady Kade starts off as Toro's wife. And I could tell right away she is up to no good. You could tell she is a cunning, evil. They even talk about how the fox takes many shapes and she's cunning and deceitful and evil. And she was. Holy shit. So, um, basically, early on, the father, Hidetora, um, they're 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 making fun of Taro. His men were just kind of making up like songs about him and stuff. So Taro sends his men to go kill the. There's a jester. I'd call it a jester throughout the whole film that stays with Hidetoro's side on Hidetoro's side. He's great. I really liked that character. Um, but Hidetoro kills one of the men that's attacking the jester. And then Bataro calls him and says, "You can't do that. Those are my men. You will respect me." And at that stage, the wife's sitting in there, and she says, "Just kneel." And he's like, "I'll sit. Why would I sit lower than you?" And at that stage, I knew she's up to no good. Um, Fairly early on, though, there's a battle, um, and Taro gets killed. So then we have Hiro and Saburo left. Um, they, yeah, the battles are amazing. Um, Hidetaro is basically banished and begins wandering the countryside as kind of a nomad, and you see his descent into absolute insanity. I mean, they do makeup on him, and it gets worse and worse. Like his look and his despair, and very interesting, very interesting. Um, the Hidetora Castle scene is amazing. It's the scene you see right here. I'll put up some other pictures. The gore in the film is done. There's a lot of it. There's some very, very bloody scenes. There's obviously some major battles. There's a lot of seppuku, um, a lot, but the blood is very bright red. Um, the colors used in this are fantastic. So each son is represented from the very beginning. They dress in their colors. So you've got Taro wears the yellow, Saburo wears the blue, and Hiro wears the red. Um, Once Taro is killed, Hiro kind of rises up to take over the kingdom, and Lady Kadai, she basically beds him, and boy, does like almost a vampire scene. She like forces him down and starts cutting his neck, and she's like drinks his blood, and then they they get it on, and after that she's like, I will not be your concubine. Will be the lady of the house. And she kind of runs the show in the background. And even his generals, Hiro's generals, know, like, this Lady Kadai is running things. And they're like, we won't bow to her. You are our leader. But yet he still goes back to her for advice and for wisdom. Um, yeah, I'll just pull up some. So yeah, the colors are very strong, and then at the end we get the invading army, like because all these three are battling each other so much they're weakening each other that the outside army is kind of taking over, and they're represented by white and black. So the colors are very distinct, very beautiful. The contrast against the grassy backgrounds and the gray skies, and then the castle burning on fire, and yes, and the gore with the red blood. Holy moly, it stands out against the gray drab backgrounds. Um, and then basically so there's the war at the end. We get the big battle, and it's the blue army versus the red army. Hiro versus sorry, names Saburo. For Saburo and Hiro are having it out, and Saburo is way outnumbered. Most of the men side with Hiro as the longest living eldest son. But Saburo, now this was another thing. I wasn't sure when this was set, so I had to go look it up. It's 16th century Japan, because there is guns. They do have muskets. There's a lot of gunfire in this movie, and Saburo uses it to great effect. He kind of draws out Hiro's army, and then he has all of his men with guns in the forest firing out and just annihilating Hiro's army. Um, Finally, at the end, Saburo wants to kind of reconcile and find his father, and so he says, we'll find him at night and we'll get him out of there and we'll take him home and he can live with us. So they do find him, and they're just about to reconcile, and they're riding together on the same horse. And the father tells him, I have so much to tell you, and then a gunshot rings out, and Saburo is killed and falls off of the horse, and um, Hiro is the only one left. But they see the white army on the hillside, and so they're getting ready to fight this invading outside invaders. But meanwhile, the black army has swooped in and is going to destroy the castle and take over, basically, crumbling the kingdom. And we find out at the very end that it's Lady Kadai. This was her whole plan, was to crumble the kingdom. We get story throughout that her family was actually the original rulers of this land, and it was Hidetora who killed her family and took over the kingdom. And she had plotted revenge her whole life, basically, and this was it, to divide the family, make them war against each other, kill each other. Um, she does get her comeuppance in the end. Holy moly! It's probably the goriest scene of the whole movie. Um, Hiro's commander, second in charge, the one who's always been doubting her, uh, finally goes in and you get this shot against the wall. I'll put it up here. Holy moly! It's there are some blood fountains in this movie. Um, yeah, holy moly! So that ending, that reveal that that was her plan all along, and she was the devil fox that was portraying this. She also she asked because Hiro is married to Lady Sue, and she asked for Lady Sue's head, but the second in command basically helps Lady Sue escape and brings her a fox statue's head instead. And he's like, "What? This was her. She's very clever." But Hiro won't have it, and but at the end, she does get Lady Sue's head. Um, Holy shit! That's what saved it for me. That brought it full circle and made me go, "Oh, okay, all right." You don't get movies like this anymore. The long and you see the Sergio Leone long scenes, facial shots. They let the camera sit and savor the moment, and they let expressions say a lot. And the jump cuts, so like it's not a zoom on somebody. They boom, boom, boom. Um, Very classic filmmaking style that's been imitated by so many. Uh, this was one of I pulled it up here. This was one of his last films, actually, of Kurosawa's last films. He made three more after this. Again, I've never seen any of his films. I am gonna go back and revisit Yojimbo. If there's something else I need to see from his filmography, I'm looking at it now. It is there's a long list. Please, I'm open for recommendations. I will go get Yojimbo because that's must see. That's kind of the spaghetti western inspiration. Um, the scale of this movie is fantastic. Let's talk about the 4K, the cinematography, the sound is amazing. The colors, like I've mentioned already, are staggering. Like beautiful. It really is fun just to watch the color palette, and it, I like that they made it so distinct that you've got the red, the blue, and the yellow. They're all vying against each other. The black and the white at the end. It's very, who's who, but it's done beautifully. The contrast in this film is amazing. The Dolby Vision really lends to that as well. Um, the action is great. Huge sweeping sets of horse battles and gunfire, and you really feel the scale of the wars at hand. Although they are few and far between. There's really two major war scenes. There's the one about an hour in, we get the siege on um, the main castle on Taro's castle, and that's where Hidetora really starts to lose his mind, and You think he's going to do the old seppuku, and they even say that's what's going to happen, but instead he just wanders out of the gate, and everybody just kind of like departing of the seas to let him go, and he then just wanders with his jester for the rest of the film, really. Uh, but yeah, the battles are fantastically done. The the countryside again, it lends itself so good to 4K. That's why westerns are so good. That's why the good, the bad, and the ugly is so amazing on 4K. And these wide sweeping shots of, I'll put a few of them up here right now as I talk about it, but they're just beautiful. A lot of parallaxing effects where you can tell, they got one layer of soldiers, then the focal point of the camera of soldiers, and then the camera's also moving at a speed. So you get the background moving fast and the foreground moving fast and the staying steady with the one group. Truly artistic filmmaking. No matter what you think of the plot or the story or what's going on the screen, as far as that goes, the visuals are stunning and worth watching for that alone. It is a long film. Comes in just under 3 hours, so it's there. I wouldn't say there are parts that drag, but there's definitely some slower parts. There's a lot of dialogue in this film, a lot of setup. The first hour of the film is really setting the story, and I'm fine with that. I'm not. I don't need action throughout. Um, but when you're in a 3 hour film, there are, it does go slow at points. This movie, and that's one of my detractors. Again, it doesn't have to be action, but nothing moves the plot forward at certain points. Um, it's a different style. It's a different style of filmmaking. Um, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. It ends very bleak. We'll get to the ending now. Obviously, the point of Lady Kadai's revenge. She gets her fulfillment. She gets killed. Um, all the family dies. I don't know if we see Hiro's death, but Saburo gets killed, and then Hidetora dies moments later. Basically, he just gives up and falls on Saburo, and they die together. And we end with a beautiful shot of the blind flute player on a cliff, just kind of overlooking everything. What's the sense? What's the point of all this? So, anyway, let me know what you guys think. I thought it was great. Again, I'm not gonna. I moved it from a 3.5 to a 4 because the ending was so strong. Um, but also, let me know what other Kurosawa films I need to see besides Yojimbo, because I do want to see Yojimbo. I plan on picking that up really soon. And I plan to do some more 4K reviews for you real soon. American Movie has arrived. We're going to watch that shortly. I've seen it countless times, hundreds of times, but I've never seen it on 4K, so I'm very excited for that. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.